Hi beautiful souls, welcome to my channel Elle's Temple. My name is Elle, I'm a goddess, guide and intuitive tarot reader. Welcome back to my returning viewers. Welcome if you are new here. So happy to have you all here. I hope you guys are all doing well wherever you are in the world. So today's reading is going to be a very special in-depth reading all about your deepest soul gifts. It's time to develop and share them. And this reading is going to be with the beautiful goddess Isis, who's the Egyptian goddess of magic, manifestation, rebirth, and all of that. So for today's reading, I'm going to be doing it in two parts because it is such a super deep topic. So for the portion that's going to be here on YouTube, the first part of the reading, we're going to be looking at what your soul gifts actually are and how you're being called to share them at this time. And I'll be taking a look at several oracle cards that I've pre-pulled for each pile. And then for the second portion of the reading, the extended portion, I'm going to be asking the tarot. So we're going to be live shuffling the tarot and looking at what's blocking you from sharing your gifts, exactly what steps you need to take to develop your gifts next. And then we'll be doing a soul activation with a ritual and an incantation, which sort of functions a bit like an initiation. So it's quite in depth, it's quite intense. So it may not be for all of you, but if you're feeling called after you hear the first portion of the reading to look into the extended portion, then that will be available over on my Patreon community on tier 1, the Earth Empress tier. So I'll leave the link to that below for each of the piles. So you can check that out. I am still offering a 1-week free trial over on my Patreon. And when you sign up to Patreon, you get access to all my past readings that have been uploaded over the last half a year or so. So there's about 21, 22 readings on there. And also the last 2 readings I've just freshly done in the last couple of weeks for January for this year for the Earth Empress and the High Priestess tier. There's 2 brand new readings up as well. So check that out if you feel called to. So for some of you, you might know what your soul gifts are and you might already be stepping into those. So this reading is really just a confirmation for you and you may not need anything further. But if you are feeling called to receive a little bit more support, receive a little bit more of activation, if you like, to help just give you that little push in the right direction, that little nudge from the goddess. If you like that little a bit of initiation, then you may feel called to go over and check out the Patreon reading. So let's get into introducing the reading, and we've got the beautiful goddess Isis here for this reading. So like I mentioned, Isis is a goddess of magic, manifestation, rebirth. She was a goddess who helped her resuscitate her husband Osiris after he was chopped into many different pieces, and she helped him to essentially like reintegrate all the different parts of himself and be reborn again. So she is a goddess who can help you to integrate different parts of your soul that might have been split off from like past lives or from trauma or anything like that. She's also a goddess who she very much presides over the goddess temple, if you like. So she holds like the keys to sacred feminine power. And Mary Magdalene was also initiated in priestess magic under the goddess Isis. She guards our sacred contracts to the great goddess, and she helps us rise above past limitations to fulfill our soul's deepest role on earth. She helps us to rise into our power, rise into our purpose, and essentially activate any sacred contracts we have to our divine feminine mission on earth, any specific healing from trauma that we're being guided to do, any specific inner truth we're being guided to express, any contracts that our soul has agreed to enact in this lifetime. And now this can be a number of different things. This can play out in terms of relationships. This can play out in terms of certain jobs that we're contracted to enter into to gain certain skills, certain learning, certain experiences, certain even forms of creativity and things like that, certain projects that we're guided to birth into this world. So contracts can definitely play out across a lot of different realms. So particularly with this reading, if you're drawn to more than one pile, it may well be that you have a number of different contracts or more than one gift that you're being called upon to activate at this time, or whilst you're here on Earth. Many star seeds and light workers have more than one mission quite often. For some of you, it may be very clear cut. You may just have one, and there may just be one pile. But for others of you, it may be a blend of a couple of different things, because it may be that your soul contract involves essentially expressing itself in more than one way. So yeah, particularly for this reading. Also with Isis, she is also a goddess who oversees what is called initiates of the light. So an initiate is a soul that is here on earth to grow spiritually in a very accelerated way. So this often means that life is not easy for you, but you may have many breakthroughs from darkness into light. All of the darkness that you have been required to face, like certain obstacles, certain traumas, certain difficulties in your life, it's all requiring you to grow through those and become an initiate into the light as a result of that darkness that you've had to face. So if you feel that that resonates for you, if you feel that in particular that you have gone through a very difficult past in some way, or you may still be in that, that is often because you're on an accelerated soul growth path. And that could well mean you are an initiate of Goddess Isis, or an initiate of like a divine feminine mission, or just an initiate of the light in general, like a light worker, so to speak, because very much so these types of souls are ones who in particular have to go through certain things in order to gain that spiritual power. It's only through having those certain experiences, through meeting that darkness and then breaking through, that you're able to sort of hold space and be able to hold that power within you from having met that. So that is essentially Goddess Isis energy is here to support these types of souls in particular. So if that resonates, to introduce each of the piles, if you are drawn to pile number 1 with Divine Sisterhood, Community of the Spiritual Sisters and Brothers of the Light, you will be pile 1, and the timestamp will be below, as always. If you are drawn to Key of Life with Spinning the Ankh, the Key of Life, you'll be pile number 2. And if you are drawn to Temple of Carnelian with Entering the Fierce Belly of Sekhmet, you will be pile number 3. Okay, my love, so pause the video if you need a little bit more time to choose which pile is yours. Like I mentioned before, you may be drawn to more than one pile, because it may be that there's different soul gifts that you're being called to activate at this time. So trust your intuition, see what is calling you, and I will see you in your pile. Hi there, pile 1. If you chose the Divine Sisterhood with Community of the Spiritual Sisters and Brothers of the Light, this will be your reading on your deepest soul gifts. It's time to develop and share them. So let's get straight into all the oracle cards we've got for you. So we have Mystic Devotion first up. We've then got Bust. We've got the Vessel. We've got Pearl with Authenticity. And finally, we've got Taurus. Okay, so let's just move the light a little bit. There we go. Okay, so pile number 1. Your deepest soul gift is to be a vessel, to create a vessel, to create a space to enable a sense of spiritual community and a sense of connection to the divine, connection to the goddess, to help people connect with like their inner mystic or their inner guide, their inner higher self, if you like. I feel like you are like a true priestess. You are like an embodiment. You are this vessel for divine feminine energy, or for goddess energy, or for, if not specifically divine feminine or goddess energy, more generally for spiritual energy, for light energy, as in you're a true light worker and one who is here to help seed others with the light. But I feel like specifically pile number one, the way that you'll do this is through your home, or through like creating like a retreat space, or you know, I'm sort of picking up with this like divine sisterhood, almost like creating like women's circles, or you know, like moon circles, or at home retreats. And it could be even that you do this online, like you work from home and then you create this sense of, you know, being able to give support to others, being able to give guidance, being able to help others connect with their light, connect with their inner mystic, like I said, their like inner priestess, with their divine self. You may do this, you know, through like setting up a sort of at-home retreat, and you run it online, and people can just sort of carry out the rituals or whatever it might be, you know, in their own time from their own homes. But I feel like more than that, though, it's something that you have in your energy field, or something that you almost like physically embody with this. The vessel, and also Taurus energy is very like physical energy, sensual energy. It's connected to like the five senses. It's connected to, you know, what you can physically taste and see and touch and smell and hear, kind of thing. And it's also very grounded energy, and it's all about, you know, it's an earth sign. It's all about like practicality and seeing things manifesting on the physical plane. And I'm kind of seeing here with this figure who's sitting, which incidentally, of all the cards you've got, aside from this vessel figure who's sort of standing in a bowl, all three of these cards, the figure, it's a female figure who's sitting down. It's very grounded energy. It's very like embodied energy. Like this card is speaking about, the vessel speaks about that embodiment. So there's something around a sort of physical presence that you have, that you're guided to like hold space for others to come into some sort of a like community or group with you, or come into your space. Like you create this beautiful space that others can come into, a physical space, and they can learn from you. They can, you know, it's like you can give them these little pearls. As I just said, I was just going to say pearls of wisdom, and then I just looked down and saw pearl with authenticity. It's like you have this pearl of wisdom, you know, and this is something that like you embody, you hold it as a person, whatever gender you are. This isn't like specific to women, you know, this is whatever gender you are, you have that wisdom energy embodied in you, like encoded in you, encoded in your cells, encoded in your genes, I'm hearing. And it's like you have such a profound connection, embodied connection to the divine, or the divine feminine, that like you're able to sort of bring down these like beautiful little nuggets, these little pearls of wisdom. You're able to like, you draw those down from the divine, and then you scatter them out to people. And it's like people want to be in your presence to be able to like glean these little nuggets of wisdom from you, these pearls of wisdom. And I feel like that is something that your deepest soul gift to share, is to create a space, a physical space that could be, and I'm very strongly feeling, within your own home. And the reason for that is with Goddess Bast. Goddess Bast is an Egyptian goddess as well as, as Isis. just knocked a crystal over, who is a goddess of the home and domesticity and the domestic realm, and also motherhood and the like feminine rituals, and the moon as well. If you want to know a little bit more about Bast, I actually wrote a blog post about her over on the Elves Temple blog. I'll leave a link to that below, because I feel like for some of you, you may have quite a strong connection with this goddess. She is usually represented, she's often shown actually with the face of a cat or the head of a cat or with a cat. And she also embodies that sort of playful, light-hearted energy of a cat, and is also a protectress of the home. Her counterpart, her sister, is Sekhmet, who incidentally was the goddess for Pile 3. There may be a little bit of crossover between Pile 1 and Pile 3, possibly, because of that counterpart energy between Bast and Sekhmet. But Sekhmet is the destructive aspect of the goddess. It's that almost like Kali energy, that darker energy, that energy that needs to destroy things before things can be birthed. Whereas Bast is the goddess of the home. She's the goddess of protection and guardianship. She guards those who are in her care. And she's like the, where Sekhmet is the lion-headed goddess and is, the aspect of the goddess that is very fierce and about setting boundaries, and, she can go to war and she can destroy things if she needs to. She's that fierce, destructive aspect of the goddess, whereas Bast is it's that Taurus energy of stabilizing, holding something in place. Taurus is the fixed sign of the 3 zodiac signs of spring. We have, the Aries, which is the initiate spring, and then Taurus is the fixed sign that holds spring in place. It's that earth energy, that rooted, grounded energy that allows the seeds that like holding space so that they can then grow from that grounded place. And I feel like that's you. That is your energy in a nutshell. Pile number 1, you are that soil, you are that grounding space, that holding space that holds the seed of wisdom, the pearls of wisdom for others to awaken in other people. So what might this look like? So I feel like, I think I mentioned running retreats, I feel like is something that is your deepest soul gift to do. I feel like predominantly, like I said, from within the home, because Goddess Bast being a goddess of the home, and also this mystic and devotion card. This is very much giving me the vibes with the word devotion. It makes me think of the Vestal Virgins, who looked after the temple of the goddess Vesta, who the Greek version of Vesta is Hestia, who is the goddess of the home. So Hestia and Vesta are goddess of the home and hearth. They reigned over the sacred hearth fire that always burned in the city and in the temple. They were guardians of that, and the Vestal Virgins were very devoted, in their priestess duties to ensure that they oversaw the continuous burning of the hearth flame. And I feel like for you, pile number 1, you have that. Maybe you were a priestess in that capacity. You may have even been a priestess of Vesta or Hestia or something along those lines in a past life, because I feel like you embody that energy, that devoted energy. It's like you are devoted to creating a home space, a hearth space. And I just saw, as I said, home space, hearth space, I saw 1111 on the clock. So that is in alignment. And 1111 is like, if you add all those ones, adds up to 4. And 4 is all about stability and security. It's the 4th month of the year, is when Taurus season starts. So it's your greatest soul gift. And this might be something that may take much of your lifetime to fully step into. Maybe some of you are already doing this on some level or another. Like I'm hearing some of you may already be doing this in a way on social media, for example. You may already have a space where you record things from that space, and you have videos and things that go out to people so they can kind of get your energy and a little bit of the space that you've created, the sort of hearth space that you've created. And you may even do something like online at-home retreats, where you maybe guide people through rituals, for example. You guide people through certain practical applications of their connection to the divine, of their sort of this mystical wisdom. It's like you ground mystical wisdom, you ground the spiritual into the physical earth plane. It's that Taurus energy of grounding something, bringing it out into sort of the material, if you like. And I feel like like I said, for some of you, you may already be doing this to a certain extent. For others of you, this may be something that may need to wait till you're at a point where you have the right home space to be able to then like welcome people and host people, or host community events, as I spoke about with this divine sisterhood, community of the spiritual sisters and brothers of the light. So there's something around creating a community and creating a like space where you can bring people into that community. And it may start online, but I feel like there's something around you offering like an actual physical experience. So I'm very much picking up very strongly a retreat. You may run these, like I said, from your own home or from a home. It could be like for example, book a beautiful homestead, through Airbnb or something like that. But you run retreats from this home, and you go a bit earlier and you set it all up, and it's all really beautifully, I'm getting very much like that gorgeous Venusian type energy. I mean, even this Bast card is like, look how like stylish and beautiful it is, like all the almost like fabrics and things in the background. So maybe some of you might have a real eye for like interior design and all that kind of thing, and you may like bring in like beautiful sensual things, gorgeous like candles and cushions and all that kind of thing, and you create this like gorgeous space, and you hold space for others to come. And it could be what you actually do on the retreat could be a number of different things. This could be with the vessel and embodiment, this could look like yoga. It could be a yoga retreat. It could be just a more not so much like physical activities, but a spiritual retreat where people gain wisdom and they come into community. Maybe you do certain activities together to like help connect everyone in some way. It could be like a dancing retreat, it could be a cooking retreat. That'll be different for all of you because this is a general reading, and you'll each have your own little niche, if you like. For some of you, this could be like goddess retreats or divine feminine retreats to help people activate and connect with like, the goddess or the divine feminine. But whatever it is, I'm seeing this authenticity aspect here. It is going to be authentic to you. I don't feel like this is something that there is some sort of template and, you're going to follow some, how often there's like a lot of those ads and things on Instagram where it's kind of like they have this like step-by-step system, like 10-step system to becoming a spiritual coach or whatever it might be. It's like there's not a template for this. There's not a like you're going to follow someone else's lead, and like they've already done sort of cookie cutter spiritual retreats or certain type of yoga retreats, and you're going to come along and like just operate them, you know, like you're like, okay, that's how you do it, right? I'm the operator. Like I operate retreats, you know, like I run them from a sort of, you know, like you set it up from the like marketing point of view, and you do all the administration and stuff. Like, no, it may even be that you hire someone else to do those aspects, because I feel like upon number one, it's about your energy and your presence being there holding the space on the retreat, as opposed to necessarily being the one to like operate them. So depending on what level you get to with it, of course, like it may be that you have to do all aspects for some of you. For others of you, you know, if it's a little bit more of a smaller, more organic business, maybe you'll do all of it yourself, but it will be very, very much authentic to you. Authenticity, I feel like, is a very important value for you. It's very important to Taurus energy, actually. It's interesting these two came out together, and they've both got the same purple color. This is so interesting. I'm just seeing now with the purple on both of these cards, and then the red. This is exactly in colors spelling out what I was saying about bringing the like the mystical into the physical, bringing the ethereal down to earth, bringing the what's up there in the ether into the practical world. Because it's like the purple, right, is the crown chakra, or the third eye chakra even. It's connected to the divine, to, you know, the higher wisdom, to intuition, to you know, that opening up to the universe, you know, opening up to our guides, all of that kind of thing. That's the color purple. It's also a very regal color. So, you know, it's symbolic of like higher wisdom, you know, being someone who is encoded with that higher purpose and higher wisdom. And then the color red, which we've got here as well on the bast, there's quite a lot of red here. The color red is the root chakra, which is the earth. It's our roots, it's the ground, it's our home, it's our stability, it's our security, it's our survival, it's dealing with the practical. So I'm also hearing money as well. For some of you, this could be, say, for example, running workshops or retreats or something like that to help. I'm hearing women, but it may not be just women. It could be, you know, whatever, however you identify. But I'm particularly picking up, you know, this could be for one person in particular, running retreats to help women step into their financial sovereignty, if you like, or like, you know, to say, for example, you're someone who you've over time you grow a business, and it could be in anything, but then you come to a point where you're guided to then share your wisdom of growing that business with other people, you know, who want to also become an entrepreneur, or, you know, a spiritual coach, or, you know, a teacher, or whatever it might be, you know. And I'm just seeing now, I'm kind of seeing these as like, they look like gold petals kind of flowing down. So it's like this, it's like being able to be in a position of, you know, receiving the, you know, all the abundance, the windfall of abundance that the divine wants to send down. So, you know, and that is very much a Taurus theme. You know, Taurus rules over the second house, which is all about what you value, what you own, you know, anything related to stability, security, finances, money, self-worth, all of that kind of thing is kind of linked there. So there's a number of different avenues. There's a number of different like niches that and each of you will be unique in that. But more generally, more broadly, in terms of the consistent theme for all of you, is holding space for people and physically being present for them, and creating some sort of a physical space that people can come and meet in community. You know, maybe some of you are going to set up like a certain, you know, like a community house or something like that, a special space that people can come and have meetings or something, about a certain thing. Maybe some of you even, I'm getting shown, there was a place I used to go to lots of different like workshops and things like that in London, but there was a place where they had, I can't even remember if it was just for women now. I think some of them were mixed and some of them were just for women, but they were like, they'd be held in these beautiful venues, and it would be like an event you could book online or whatever, and you would go and there'd be like a facilitator, and then there might sometimes be guest speakers, but sometimes it would just be the facilitator, and there'd be like, it'd be on a number of different topics, often related to, starting your own business or becoming an entrepreneur, or, it might be on certain spiritual topics like, certain aspects of spirituality, or something like that, or, becoming a speaker, or, all different things. And it was like they were often held in these really nice venues. So it could be that you end up like being like getting invited to a venue like that. And again, I don't necessarily feel like you're the one who runs it. I feel like someone else is there to do the operational side, and you're going to be the person who comes in and you guide people through something. You're there as some sort of facilitator. But your presence, it's something around your presence being very important to like seed consciousness in other people, to like activate their connection to the divine, particularly their connection to the divine feminine, their connection to their higher wisdom, their connection to their own authentic selves. So it might start out where you perhaps do some little things online. You may do some things like going to a certain venue where there's a number of different speakers and you get a slot or something like that. And then over time you evolve it and you grow it a bit more and a bit more until you get to a point where you have your own space, that's like a dedicated space, and you can, decorate it all beautifully and set it all up exactly the way you'd want it to be. Like I'm kind of getting shown like like a beautiful yurt or something like that. Like, so maybe some of you will end up with some land and you'll have, space on that land to like, build a yurt or something. And then you can hold like sacred space in that. You can have like these retreats or like these workshops or these community meetings or something along those lines in that space. And I feel like for most of you, this already. I kind of get the vibe that for you, Pearl One, you're already aware of this. You already know you want to do something kind of along those lines, and maybe you're just waiting for the right opportunity or the right like space to come along, or to be in a little bit more of a grounded place in your own life. Although I do pick up a very grounded energy from you already, but maybe you just haven't got to the point, with like maybe you're just waiting for the right home or something like that, and you're like, yes, like I've got it on my vision board. I want to have a home that's got this like space outside, or it's got a great kitchen so I can do like cooking workshops, or it's got like a huge big living room so I can have, like women's circles or moon circles, or, that kind of thing. It's like you're maybe just waiting for some of the like practical aspects to kind of fall into place perhaps. But it might be different for all of you. Like where you're at with this. So for some of you, I feel like you might still be I'm kind of getting with this, the vessel, the way she's like got her arms kind of crossed over her chest and like over her groin. It's like what I'm kind of picking up from this is like, don't look at me, like don't look at me. There's a shyness coming through. There's a like lack of feeling comfortable being open and opening up your space. It's almost like the energy of this, it's interesting this came out underneath this, because the energy of this Bars card, she looks very comfortable and confident in herself, very grounded. She looks like sort of the queen of the house, if you like. She's got a little cat there, and she's just like, yep, looking at home, looking super secure in herself. you know, beautiful sort of posture and energy. And I feel like this is your higher self. This is what the energy of your higher self, what your higher self embodies. This is what you're growing into. This is your deepest soul gift that's activating in you. And this vessel card is like possibly you right now, where it's like the light is calling you. You already are this vessel for this energy, for this divine feminine energy, for this like, you know, like beautiful mystical like wisdom, pearls of wisdom to come down. You already hold those. You already are the vessel for that. That is the archetype that's within you. It's already there, but you're just a little bit like, ooh, like I don't know if I want to share this, or I don't know if I want to have people in my home, or I don't know if I'm up to like sharing it. But I feel like it'll be interesting to see in the extended. So I'm going to leave like the first portion of the reading here. I'm just going to finish up by reading from the Isis Oracle, the little introductory part. And then if you feel called to receive some further support with this, check out the extended over on my Patreon. You know, it is a better deal, I feel like, doing it that way, because it gives you access to all the Patreon readings rather than selling an individual extended reading and then you only get that one reading. So all extended readings will be, the extended portion will be over on my Patreon tier 1. So check that out if you feel called to, because for some of you, it may be that there's some blocks. And like I said, I touched on it a little bit, that one of the blocks may be just fearing that exposure, fearing opening up and sharing like your space or yourself, your energy with others in some way. There's a sort of a shyness or a like closed off sort of conserving energy, wanting to conserve yourself. So it'll be interesting to see in the extended if that is one of the blocks, what the other blocks might be, what steps you need to take to work through those and then develop your gifts. And we'll also do a soul activation with a ritual and an incantation, which will help activate and initiate you into this soul journey if that's what you feel called to. So I would love to see you over there if you feel called to that. But let's have a look at the, I'm just going to finish up by reading the little introductory part for, where are we? Divine Sisterhood. Should have bookmarked this. Apologies. Divine Sisterhood. Here we go. Okay, so community of the spiritual sisters and brothers of the light. So in community that is based in equality, respect, healthy boundaries, and personal freedom, with a mutual desire for spiritual growth and honoring of innate wisdom. Yes, exactly. That's what I spoke about, the wisdom that you have innately within you. You embody this wisdom, these pearls of wisdom. So in a community that honors that spiritual growth and honoring of innate wisdom, great miracles occur. You are a part of this community of light. At one time it existed only in the spiritual worlds, yet now it is being born on the earth. It is part of your destiny to help create and nurture a conscious community that empowers all of its members and is based in truth. Beautiful. So that is your soul contract. That is your deepest soul gift, to create and hold space for and nurture a conscious community that empowers all of its members. So yeah, like I said, something, I'm definitely picking up a vibe of someone doing some sort of a like, you know, you run retreats where you coach people or women in particular into, you know, becoming an entrepreneur or, you know, financial health or sovereignty or something like that. For others of you, this could be yoga retreats. For others of you, this could be some sort of spiritual retreats, tapping into your wisdom, all of that kind of thing. But I feel like, you know, you'll do it in this very original way, this very authentic way, a way that's authentic to you, and a way that's also very grounded. So I feel like a lot of, you know, I'm seeing like creating workbooks for people, creating rituals, creating like little physical things that they can actually do in their day-to-day lives, you know, to actually empower themselves. So it's a really, really beautiful energy, pile number one. I feel like you've got this very strong, very calm, grounded energy that is able to hold space for others. So if that resonates for you and you feel like getting a little bit more support with fully stepping into this, developing it, removing any blocks and activating and initiating this soul path, then check out the extended. Otherwise, if I'm leaving you here, that is all good. I'm so happy to have you here. I hope it resonated for you. Leave a comment below if it did. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love. Bye. Hi there, part number 2. If you chose the Key of Life, we're spinning the Ankh, the Key of Life. This will be your reading on your deepest soul gifts. It's time to develop and share them. Okay, so pile number 2, let's get straight into your oracle card. So we have got the Empty Room first up. We have got Mountain with Presence. We've got Mercury. We've got Queen with Sovereignty. Actually, I'm going to just move these along because I don't think this is going to fit. Okay, and finally we have got Madame Soleil. Okay. So, pile number 2. What I'm picking out for you, pile 2, with your deepest soul gift is you are here to create something and birth something into the world that is going to help people step into their sovereignty in some way. I feel like with Mercury being here, Mercury is the planet of communication, travel, messages, all of that kind of thing, movement, but predominantly communication is kind of the vibe I'm getting. I feel like there's something that you are here to communicate. You have a gift of communicating. Now that could play out in different ways. For some of you, this could be being a writer. For some of you, this could be being a speaker. For some of you, it could be being like a singer or something like that. For some of you, it could be being an artist of some sort, like even like a multimedia artist or something like that. I'm kind of seeing someone doing even something like street art or something, like you could communicate messages through really beautiful street art that's quite like political maybe or something. It has like strong messages to it. Also, some of you could be like, you know, creating a platform on social media. For some of you, it could be a business where you communicate to people in some way through that business. You maybe, you know, use a blend of different things and you communicate your wisdom, your knowledge, like whatever it is you're here to kind of birth. There's something with this Key of Life card, and I'm going to read out the introduction to this card at the end of this portion of the reading. But this card speaks of being gifted with creative energy, a lot of creative energy, and being here to be like this key is like a portal to bring something through you into this world. With this Empty Room, I feel like this archetype is coming up because you have this beautiful capacity to create something from nothing. Like emptiness is like the void space, right? It's like the space before creation happens, kind of thing. It's like the great motherverse. It's the great void. It's that darkness, that emptiness, that womb space, if you like, where something can be like fertilized and planted in that. And I feel like you embody the archetype of this empty room for like the divine to come and like plant something in that space for you to then birth it into the world. It's like you're like a holding vessel for creative energy and communication to come through you and out into the world. This Madame Soleil card talks about like really shining your light, and we've got like a lot of yellow and orange here. So orange is linked with the sacral chakra, which is all about like creative energy. It's linked to the fire element. It's all about your like passions, your zest for life. If you have a very strong sacral chakra, people with very strong sacral chakra are often very, very creative. And we've also got a lot of orange on this Queen Sovereignty card as well. So there's this like fire element energy. It's like the wands energy in tarot. It's like you're able to create and manifest things in your life. And we've also got the yellow and the sun. Soleil is the sun, which is all about your soul, linked to your solar plexus. And that's all about shining your light, you know, expressing your true self, like being your true self, standing in your power, standing in your power, and also your confidence and self-assuredness, which brings me to this mountain and presence card, because there's something here around, it's linked with this empty room here, where it's like, you know, the mountain is this very sturdy energy that holds this like incredible presence. And I feel like I'm sort of seeing someone being like, you know, a motivational speaker, or like, you know, really being out on the speaking circuit, like doing like, you know, kind of being on stage. Like I'm being shown, I don't particularly follow this company, but I see ads for it, Mind Valley. So like, you know, going to, you know, I mean, you might not like that particular company or whatever, but this is just what they're showing me as an analogy. So, you know, it might be through someone else if that's not the kind of thing, but it's that energy of like, you know, Mind Valley put on these big spiritual events or personal development events or whatever, and you know, they'll get a lot of different speakers from different places, and you know, they'll speak about like manifestation, or about like, you know, spiritual development of some sort, or manifesting money, or you know, all sorts of different things. And you know, some of the people that they get are really like, you know, quite big weights, right? They have a strong presence, you know. And there's certainly other companies that do this. That's the one that I channeled through. That's the one that I was being shown. So, you know, you have this presence about you. You have this aura or this charisma. You know, Mercury energy is very charismatic. It's very quick-minded. It's very intellectual, very able to share ideas, you know, easily able to communicate. So I feel like you have the gift of communication and creativity in some form. So like I said, it will play out a little bit differently for all of you, because this is a general reading. So you'll each have your own like path with that. But generally speaking, your deepest soul gift is to communicate your truth, to be a presence, where to be like grounded in yourself, so that you can like receive from the divine and birth it through you, and bring something into the world, like birth something sacred into the world. And this could be a book, it could be like a movie, a play, you know, a platform. It could be a platform, creating some kind of platform. It could be being like in politics even, or something like that. Especially with sovereignty here, you know, that's being a leader, really. That's, you know, and even mountain and presence, it's like being some sort of a, you know, community leader or something like that. Like someone who really has stepped into their power and is able to communicate their truth. They have that sovereignty in their life. I also feel like this is an energy that's very important to help you like get to a stage where you can really share your soul gifts. It's like you need sovereignty over your life. So I don't feel like for many of you this would be doing this in some way where you work for a company, though it may be, and it may be for a period of time you need to do that. Like say, for example, some of you might be writers or something, and so you may, part of your soul contract, right, can be to work for a company doing like comms or doing copywriting or doing something like that, because there's certain skills that you'll learn in that job, And so that may be a certain aspect of your soul contract that you do for a period of time to like hone your skills and create more credibility or whatever it might be, so that when you then go out on your own and you have that sovereignty over your life, you know, you have like a certain amount of skills or qualifications, or like a level of expertise or confidence, a level of sort of presence, because it's like you've done certain things with this skill, you know, you've experienced certain things with it. But I feel like ultimately, even though some of you may need to go down that path in order to evolve these skills in some way, these communication skills, ultimately you will feel, or you will need sovereignty over your life in sort of completely. Like you will need sovereignty over your time, over your day, over your routine, over what projects you choose to do, what things you choose to like birth through you. It's like, because ultimately, like, you're answerable to the divine. And it's like you, in order for you to fully shine your light here with this Madame Soleil, which is like really stepping into your confidence and power and shining yourself fully out in the world, in order to do that, it's like you're going to have to be in a position where you can have total sovereignty over what you do, and like where you only listen to your own inner authority. You'll get to a point where like you have that sovereignty, you have that authority. You're the one who dictates like what projects you want to do, what you want to communicate. It's like you'll just have that direct connection with the divine, and then you'll be guided to where you need to be, or people will be guided to you as well. Like ultimately, as you grow into this gift, it's like, you know, mountains are immovable, right? Like they just stay in the same place. So maybe people will come to you for this communication or whatever it might be, you know, maybe, or like you don't need to leave your home to do it. It's like you can broadcast from your home. So, you know, especially if you're like a writer, or, you know, you're creating a social media platform, like you can just be in one place. You can be this like solid presence, right? And then you can communicate from that place. I'm also seeing with the rainbow here, this to me is symbolic of goddess Iris, who is the Greek goddess of the rainbow, and she's one of the messenger goddesses. She was actually seen as the main messenger between the gods and the humans before Mercury came in and took over that role. So yeah, I feel like you have that Iris energy of like being the bridge, right? The rainbow energy and goddess Iris energy as being a bridge between like two things, you know, two peoples, two different ways of being, two ideas. It's like there's something around you birthing something into the world, some piece of creation, some piece of communication that helps bridge people. It either helps people bridge people between like themselves and their higher selves, or you know, the universe or the divine, or it helps bridge communities, or it helps bridge different cultures, it helps bridge different religions, whatever it might be. It's like you're a bridge for people. You're able to create like a connection. You're able to connect people, bring things together. You're able to bring ideas together as well. Maybe even very disparate ideas, you're able to bring them together. So I feel like you have a very strong gift of communication, creativity, bringing people together from your, you know, these ideas that you birth into the world. It helps, you know, seed something in people's consciousness. It helps raise consciousness. And also I'm seeing with this Queen of Sovereignty card, it looks like she's holding a little mask. It's like there's something around like needing to take off like a false mask or something. So I feel like the things that you create will help people to let go of their ego self or their false self or any kind of masks that they've been wearing to like block their true selves. It's like you will help those masks to fall away through whatever it is that you're birthing, through whatever it is that you're creating, or whatever it is that you're communicating about. So especially I'm just being shown again like a speaker on stage, like someone who does those kind of mind valley type things where it's like maybe that will be something you'll speak about, is like, the ego and the difference between the ego and the soul. Or, it could be any number of spiritual topics. It could be, related to just, I feel like generally speaking, it's kind of like the vibe I'm getting from this like sovereignty energy is like helping people to unplug from the matrix, so helping people to like just disconnect from all that programming, all that like conditioning, all that like all the nonsense stuff. I'm hearing from like patriarchy or like certain power structures that want people to be fake, want people to like be stuck in ego, want people to be stuck in like, I'm hearing like small mindedness or like, like small mindedness, with that bridge. It's like, people like keeping people divided, keeping people like scared of everyone and scared of everything and like in their own little pockets. It's like whatever it is that you're speaking about or communicating about or writing about or doing art about, is helping people to like evolve into like a higher level of like humanity, essentially. Like they can, it's like you create this bridge, this rainbow bridge from like a small-minded egoic false self with that mask to like a higher like beautiful radiant soul self, like who's sovereign in themselves, who like is operating from that like true place, that true soul self, that higher self place. So it's a very important mission and a very deep mission, and like I said, it'll be expressed in different ways for all of you. But if you felt called towards like the speaking circuit or something, I feel like this is your nudge to like start practicing, like start getting out there. There's often I don't know if meetup.com exists all over the world. I know it was in London. A lot of the events I used to go to when I lived in London were through like meetup and stuff like that. So start with something small like that that's just in your local community, even through like your library or community center, or there might be like someone who runs personal development events that's local to you and does smaller events. Like start small by like reaching out to those kind of organizations and starting to at least just go and see what other people on the circuit are kind of talking about. And I feel like when you do, the vibe I'm getting is like you'll be like, I could do better than that. Like you'll be like, not like in an arrogant way or anything, but just like in a like self-assured like I have more presence than that, or I have more like to talk about, I have more, I've got shizzle to say, like you're just going to be like, I've got some stuff to say too. Like I can do that. I can get up there and do what they're doing. So that's for those of you that might be more called into speaking. If it's like writing, it's like maybe join a writers group, or, start carving out time in your diary to start like writing your ideas down. Maybe start a blog, or something like that. Like start sharing your ideas on a certain platform. If it's art, it's like, if you've already been painting or creating certain things, it's like find a space where you can exhibit them. Even if you just start really, really small and you like literally only like your friends come to your exhibition, or like, you know, in the case of a speaker, I remember hearing, oh, I can't remember who it was. It was someone in London, I think, or it might have been someone I saw online, and they were, you know, really established speakers by that point. Like, they had thousands of people going to their talks, and they talked about how when they very first did their very first talk, one person came. One person booked for their talk, and then now they're like huge and they earn like mega bucks, you know. Not that I feel like that's your motivating factor, but you know, they were just very established and successful by the time I saw them. And you know, it took years, but like they got there in the end. And so I feel like if you're not already stepping into this soul gift, if you're not already embodying it and living it and doing it, just start small. Like, just start with like one small thing. This card talks about, like, you know, needing to almost like clear space, like create a void space so that you can be this like vessel, I guess, for the divine to kind of like implant an idea into this like holding space that's ready for it. You know, it's like a space of surrender. It's a space of receptivity. It's a space of openness. So maybe if for some of you, you've been trying to like push for something to happen, or like mentally try to like figure something out, because I feel like for a lot of you, you've got a lot of mental energy with Mercury being here. You know, it rules over the mind. So it's like you're very quick-witted. You may be very mentally quick, but you may often use your mind to, like, you rely on your mind for all your decision-making capabilities. And I feel like with this archetype of the empty room, it's like sometimes you need to like step back from like what your monkey brain or your logical brain is trying to come up with, and allow a like void space. So meditation could be really, really good for you. Part number 2, allow a void space so that you can, the wisdom, the guidance, the next steps can like bubble up from within you. It's like you need to in order to be able to create all this beautiful color and expression out in the world, you need to be able to go into the void. I'm also seeing like yoga nidra could be very, very helpful for you. And in fact, a friend of mine who just trained in yoga nidra teaching just sent me a yoga nidra for creativity audio. So if I remember, I'll link that below, because that could be really helpful for you, pile number 2, because yoga nidra will really help you get out of that your logical brain, and helps you go into like that sort of rest and digest mode, that like receptive mode, that like, I think it's the alpha state. Yeah, I think it's like the alpha brainwave state that will allow the divine, the universe, to like seed an idea, and you'll know then like what your next steps are. Okay, so let's finish up this portion of the reading with I'm going to read the introduction to this card, the Key of Life. And if you feel called to know a little bit more about what's blocking you from sharing your gifts, how you can remove those blocks, exactly what steps you need to take to develop your gifts, and also receive an activation, a ritual, and an incantation, which will act like an initiation onto this soul path. If you feel that that would support you at this time, then check out the extended. I'll leave the link to that below. Okay, so the Key of Life. The Key of Life is the mysterious ankh, the looped cross held in the hand of Isis. This mystery is opening to you now. The ankh portends new life being born through you now. It could be in a creative sense or in a physical sense, in terms of health, or even a child that wishes to be born, or a new project that needs to be created in service to humanity. Yes, exactly. That's what I felt. In service to humanity. There's something around you helping to like bridge humanity, helping to like raise consciousness of humanity. This is a big thing you're birthing here, pile number 2. This is no small thing at all. So this new life being born in whatever form will enrich your life, bringing you into more wholeness and fulfillment. Let it happen. Yes, I feel like that guidance, let it happen. That's this empty room. It's like you've got to clear space. You've got to clear out the clutter. You've got to clear space. You've got to clear out time in your diary. You've got to clear your energy, clear your mind, and allow this, like, go into a state of surrender and allow the divine to communicate through you what you're then meant to communicate to the world, because you're a vessel for the divine to like communicate through you. So I hope that resonated for you, pile number 2. Leave me a comment below if it did. Like the video if you enjoyed it. It really helps my channel to grow, and I really appreciate each and every one of you who's done that. Check out the extended if you feel called to get a bit more support. Otherwise, if I'm leaving you here, all my love, all the best with stepping into your soul gifts, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello, pile number 3. If you chose the Temple of Carnelian, entering the fierce belly of Sekhmet. This will be your reading on your deepest soul gifts. It's time to develop and share them. Okay, so let's have a look at your oracle cards to start off with. So first up, we've got Traveler with Faith. You got 2 astrology cards. You were the only pal who got 2. Don't tell the other pals. You got 9th house and also Aquarius. Okay, we got the Pilgrim, card number 20. And just move this over a little bit so we can fit everything in. Okay, and then we also got Wolf with Mastery and the Divine Tarantella. Okay, so does that all fit? I think it just does. Alrighty, so just move this back a little bit. Okay, pile number 3. Wow, your energy is amazing. Can I just say, you are so strong. I get this, like, of all the 3 Isis cards, I just get the strongest vibe from this particular one, especially with like this Sekhmet goddess in the background. So Sekhmet is the fierce goddess. She's a fire goddess, a solar goddess, and she's the goddess of like war and destruction. But also she is a goddess who helps us to set really strong, healthy boundaries. She's all about like what needs to be cut off, what needs to be transmuted, what needs to be destroyed, what needs to be alchemized and let go of and burned away, or what cords need to be cut, what toxicity in my life needs to be let go of and cleared away and detoxified, so that we can come into our full strength and full power. So I feel like for many of you, part of this path towards stepping into this soul gift or soul purpose or soul contract is having gone through a whole number of shitty things, I want to say, that essentially forced you to activate your strength and your power and your healthy boundaries. It's like you had to come up against a lot of situations in your life that were very testing, that were very difficult. This could look like possibly being in like toxic relationships, certain relationships that had power imbalances. That could be in a romantic relationship, or it could even be in the workplace. It could have been in family. It could be in friendships. But there may just have been a lot of things that really pushed you to have to develop strong, healthy boundaries, to have to cut cords with people, to have to learn to walk away from certain situations that were like unhealthy, or that were really like I'm hearing like energy vampire, you know, like maybe you had sort of people who were like stealing your energy, that kind of thing. And I feel like you, in going through that those really difficult, painful situations in your life, it galvanized so much strength in you and fierceness in you. It's like you have this really fierce, protective energy and just so much strength to be able to stand on your own and to be able to go your own way. And I feel like for many of you, possibly as a result of like dealing with so many painful or difficult relationships, but also I feel like this is just part of your soul path. You have this pilgrim traveler energy. Ninth house, all of these three cards are all kind of talking about the same kind of thing, because ninth house is, you know, rules over like travel and expansion and higher learning and higher wisdom and you know, evolving the self and, you know, other cultures and all of that kind of thing. So possibly as a result of having gone through all that painful stuff, that's created this like yearning to seek out either healing or wisdom from like other cultures or other places or other traditions or just out in the world, you know, in order to like find this self mastery. It's like it's forced you with this wolf here. It's kind of like I'm getting a vibe of like the lone wolf who's been forced to kind of like leave the pack in order to like hone your skills and develop yourself. And then eventually once you reach this mastery point, it's like you'll rejoin your tribe and you'll operate from a place of like leadership within like your wolf pack, if you like. But part of your soul's journey is to go through a period of time of being this pilgrim, of being this traveler, of like, you know, exploring all these ninth house things, like going out into the world and learning different things. So, you know, this could look like I'm picking up a strong vibe of someone going and learning like shamanic healing, for example, like shamanic, being initiated into a shamanic culture or tribe or something like that, you know, or going to India or somewhere, you know, where there's a lot of like a mystical tradition of some sort, you know, going to an ashram, going to, you know, I'm also seeing, I'm being shown like, you know, the Andes to Peru, somewhere like this, to the rainforests of, like the Amazon rainforest. I'm being shown to learn like herbal kind of things, or like plant medicine healing, like things like doing ayahuasca or certain like plant healing. It's like really deep healing. It's like because of what you've had to go through, that's forced you to like get like leave your kind of tribe behind, leave your roots behind, and like go out into the world and learn other ways of being to enable you to find your strength and your power again that might have been somewhat compromised by these toxic relationships or, you know, toxic situations, or, you know, people that, you know, really triggered you to have to find your own power. Because, you know, you were perhaps in a lot of disempowering situations. So that could have been abuse. And I'm so sorry if you have gone through that. I understand what that is, and how painful that is and how hard that is. And a lot of starseeds, a lot of light workers, a lot of divine feminine initiates, as I spoke about in the intro when I was speaking about Isis, and how the path towards, you know, being an initiate of Isis is a path for accelerated learning. And I feel like that is true of this pile more than the others. You have particularly with Sekhmet being here, because she's the goddess of destruction and war, and like creating, stepping into that fierce power of creating those boundaries. It's like you've been through something that's forced accelerated learning, and accelerated soul growth. Uh, and that was part of your soul contract. So I almost feel like pile three, you're you're doing your soul contract in a way. You're you It's like, what I'm hearing is like the path is, what is the phrase? The path is the way. The way is the path. It's like there is no sort of like final destination, or I mean there kind of will be, but like that, it's like I can't figure out an eloquent way to elucidate this. Spirit, help me explain this better. The path is the way. There's a book about something like that. I think it's called The Path is the Way. I hope you know what I mean. It's kind of like your whole life's journey is your path. Everything that you've experienced is your soul contract. Everything you've gone through is part of your soul gifts. And I feel like most of you I'm just being drawn, they're showing this eye in the middle of this pilgrim picture. Most of you will see that, and you'll see yourself more clearly once you've gone on this like sort of pilgrimage, if you like maybe for some of you are going to go on an actual like spiritual pilgrimage of some sort to a particular like it could be like the walking the Camino, the Camino path, or something like that, doing a specific pilgrimage, or doing a pilgrimage to like temples in a certain mystery tradition, or going to the pyramids in Egypt or something, going on a pilgrimage somewhere. But both of these cards can also talk about like internal journeys as well, that it isn't always about like what you find on the outside, but journeying deeper and deeper into like the soul's journey. So that could look like doing shamanic journeying, right? Like that's part of the shamanic tradition, is doing like what's called journeying, like going on where you stay in the same place, but you go on a shamanic journey. You'll listen to the drumming or whatever it might be, and that will create a trance state that allows your soul to then journey to other places and receive wisdom from a totem animal, or from a guide, or from another space, another place, another incarnation that your soul had, or something like that. I've never been on a shamanic journey, I should just say. I've kind of done shamanic-esque meditations, but I've never done an official shamanic journey or been initiated into that. So if you have, you will be able to explain this a lot better, and you will know what that involves. And it also means you're on the right track, that you're doing all the right things. This is just from what I have sort of vaguely read about or whatever. But there's something around like seeking out, like as a result of everything you went through and the healing that your soul then needed in order to step into your power. It's like this strong fixation. It's like the ninth house is like pulling you forward. It's like pulling you along, whether it's on an external journey, like traveling, going on a pilgrimage, going to a sacred site, and or going on some kind of internal journey. I feel like possibly it'll start off as an external journey, and that will activate a really, really deep internal journey. And For some of you, I get the vibe that some of you have already done the external journey part. You've already done some kind of a, like you've been to, say, India, or you've been to, you know, those places I was mentioning, like you've gone to the Andes, or you've done some sort of, you know, shamanic retreat somewhere or something like that. Um, and you've had a taster, like you've got kind of the external aspect of the journey, and now you're on this like internal journey to like alchemize everything you learned, alchemize all that wisdom, you know, gain soul mastery, or gain mastery of, you know, that process of discovery. And like with this Aquarius energy, Aquarius is about, you know, it's ruled by Uranus. It's about originality and uniqueness and innovation and doing things in your own way. But it's also about being, you know, the glyph for it is the water bearer, right? And the cup bearer, it's the energy of bringing higher wisdom down from the cosmos to help humanity. Like the sign, the zodiac sign of Aquarius is very humanitarian energy. It's very grassroots. It's very of the people. It's very much like concerned with, like the wolf, it's concerned with the pack. It's concerned with the overall tribe. It's not about me, or about like, you know, consumerism or whatever it might be. It's about like, how can we work better together? How can we grow as humans? You know, it's almost like as a result of this ninth house discovery and traveling and learning and delving into different cultures and different ways of being, and, you know, different ways of healing and different ways of connecting with spirit, you're then going to take all that wisdom, all that higher wisdom, all that different cultural knowledge and everything, and then bring it down and bring it to people to help them, to help humanity, to better humanity, to help us find a way forward. You know, it's very, Aquarius is also, it can be linked to the internet, and, you know, evolving technology and all of that. So maybe for some of you, this could look like, say, you go and gain all this knowledge through all these external trips and pilgrimages and whatever it might be, learning about different things, learning about a lot of different traditions, as well as all your own internal processing of all of that, all of your internal journeying that you do. And once you get to a point where you've mastered a lot of that, and you can you've really got to a point where you've embodied that and you're really standing strong in your power, then you may be called to start sharing that wisdom in some way, you know, through online, possibly like on some kind of platform, you know, through some sort of a, like, it could even be like, for example, creating an app that allows people to, you know, access certain different kinds of meditation. Say, for example, that could have been one of the things you've been learning about as you've been traveling. You might have gone on meditation retreats and learned lots of different meditation techniques or traditions or something like that. Maybe for others of you, you've learned different kind of herbal or like plant medicine things, and you then end up creating, I don't know, like a book or a an online web you know, portal, like a library that contains, you know, all this information about all the plant wisdom that you've gained through all your travels and all your learning. You know, those are just examples that are coming to mind. It'll be different for all of you how exactly how it plays out, but broadly speaking, this is about essentially stepping into your power, stepping into your mastery, expanding your knowledge, expanding your wisdom, and then finding an original and unique way to bring it to people to help them as well. So also this could look like, say for example, you went through something toxic or something abusive, and then you go on some sort of healing journey, or spiritual journey. I'm hearing like Eat, Pray, Love or something, like you do the whole as some kind of like Eat, Pray, Love thing, or like Cheryl Strayed Wild memoir or something like that, and then you heal from that painful situation, and then you come back and you share that experience through a book, through a memoir, or through giving talks or something like that, to help many people who may have gone through something similar. Like Eat, Pray, Love, both Eat, Pray, Love and Wild, like, reached massive audiences. So many people could relate to that, right? So it's like I'm kind of getting the vibe that, the experiences that you went through were intense because, like, you are here to be a master. You're here to be like a leader of some sort, and like whatever it is that you have to learn about in order to heal from those experiences and re-empower yourself, it's like that will be something that you'll be called to share in some way. That will be something that you'll be called to share in your own original way, in your own original, like, unique voice. With this Divine Tarantella card, this card speaks of like, with the Tarantella, it was a dance that originated, I think, in Italy, but it was done in a few different Mediterranean countries, and it was all about, like, the dancers would get into, they would like play the tambourine and move about in such a frenzy, such a, like, increasingly fast pace, that they would, the idea was, it's like it would drive the bad spirits away. It would, like, it's like you could dance the like toxicity out of you, because the idea was that the tarantella was based on, like, the tarantula, like a spider bite. Like, if you'd been bitten by a spider, if you just did this like mad dance, you could, like, purge that poison out of you. So there's something around, like, poison, toxicity, abuse, negativity, darkness that you had to go through at some points in your life. This could have been in childhood, teenage years, in your 20s, whatever it might have been. Some of you might still be in it. I hope you're not. But it's like there was something that was poisonous to you. This could even be related to health. All of this could be health related, right? You could have had issues growing up with, feeling like every type of food or every type of, like, body product you used acted like a poison on your body, and then you had to go out in the world and, like, travel around and, like, do all this learning and try all these different things in order to find, like, something that would help clear that toxicity out of your body and heal your health and get to a point where you were, like, strong and healthy and powerful again. I feel like for more of you, it's related to something spiritual, though. Like, it's related to, like, a poison from certain programming, for example, from certain conditioning, from energy, like I picked up on energy vampires, like, from, poison from negativity from other people who tried to, like, really sort of poison your mind, so to speak, against yourself, like, who tried to disempower you. This could even look like growing up in a certain culture where there was like a really poisonous, I don't know, like a dictator in power or something like that, like a really, there were maybe certain cultural beliefs that were really poisonous to you, particularly if you grew up somewhere, if you're a woman and you grew up somewhere where there was a lot of, like, misogyny or, like, poisonous attitudes towards women. You know, or maybe it may not have been from the broader culture, but you may have got that from one person in your life, from a partner or something like that. Or if it wasn't, you know, gender related or like, you know, something to do with that, it could have been even just um, emotional abuse, you know, emotional toxicity, emotional poison, being manipulated a lot by someone, that kind of thing. It's like there was something that you went through that you kind of, it's like you absorbed that energy, you took on. Perhaps you're an empath, you might identify as an empath, so you might have energetically absorbed that energy, that negativity, that poison. And there's something around like all of this learning and expansion and travel and exploration and discovery has been needed to help you purge and release all of that poison out of your system so that you can be this like wolf. You can have this mastery over yourself and over your life again. I'm just seeing with this card, there's a, it's like a forest that's depicted here, and that reminds me of the forest archetype card in the Kim Krans archetype deck, which, in fact, I've got the book right here, so I'm gonna find it. One sec, I'll pause and come back. Okay, I've got it. So, because I feel like for some of you, you're in this forest mythic space right now. So I felt called to actually just read this out. So the forest, the woods, the thicket, the jungle. Consider for a moment your earliest memory of the forest. It's likely it included all the mythic dynamics of this archetypal space. A little fear, a little enchantment, perhaps losing your way, perhaps discovering a secret mystical treasure. Such is the magic of the forest. It requires first that you enter it, and then that you get lost within it. You may think there is a path to lead you straight through, but soon enough you'll be on what is known as the pathless path. There are tricksters here, dense foliage and entanglement, but equally present are the glimmers of fairy light and friends among the trees. You're on an adventure now and there's no turning back, so embrace the dim light and the moving shadows. Whether literal or imaginal, brave the forest and get lost getting found. Yeah, get lost getting found. That is, I feel like that's the perfect like summation for what I was trying to say with like the path is the way and all of that. It's like the pathless path. You're on the pathless path. So like there is no sort of final destination in a way. It's like you're you are the path itself. It's like by getting lost, you will find your way. It's like, but you can only find that through opening to the mystery and through really going like through that forest energy, going on an adventure, seeing where life takes you. Um, and all the like the different people you meet on your way, the different things you'll learn about, like you may not be able to make sense of it all as you're in it. It's like the dots may only connect backwards, but you'll get to a point where you will reach this mastery. Like you will get to a point where you will be like you'll be like this wolf. And you know, a wolf is comfortable in the wild. A wolf can navigate its way through a forest. A wolf is like not afraid of other animals, right? Like it's very um you know, it's got all its senses are so acute. Like it can sense things from miles off. It's like it's so savvy and powerful and you know very wise and you know and able to like yeah, it's like it's able to navigate its way through this kind of situation. So I feel like, if you are on a more conventional path right now, maybe, and we'll look into that in the extended reading, what the blocks may be and how you can remove those blocks and exactly what steps you need to take to develop these gifts. But primarily, I'm seeing for pile number 3, it's like you are the way, you are the path, you're on this pathless path. It's like, going on an adventure. If you're feeling called to travel to a particular place to learn about a particular thing, that will be part of your journey to like activating your soul gift. And it will get to a point where you'll be called to like share some of this wisdom that you're learning. Like this isn't just for you. Like I said, with the Aquarius energy, it's like there's a desire to help humanity. So like initially it may start off as being motivated by being just for you, but ultimately like the lone wolf will join its pack and it will lead its pack, So let's finish up this first portion of the reading with, I'm going to read the introduction to the Temple of Carnelian card. Okay, so entering the fierce belly of Sekhmet, you have such strength within you, yes. It is time to trust in your own boldness and courage, taking risks that feel true to your heart and engaging in practices that make you feel truly and genuinely alive, embodied and more of yourself, even if not always comfortable, are going to help you live the life you were born to live. Yes, exactly. So getting out of that comfort zone, going on an adventure, engaging in practices that make you feel alive. This tarantella dancing, like it could be, doing something like that, some sort of movement practice. It could be like, martial arts or like something very physical, different types of movement that help you like, purge out any negative energy, help you connect with your like raw life force energy. For some of you, I definitely feel like travel is really called on. For some of you may already be traveling or you may have done some travel, but if you haven't and you're feeling called to, this is your nudge to do that. So yeah, I feel like you have, like it says, you have the courage, you have the boldness. It's just a matter of like going with where you're feeling called to go, trusting in those nudges and going after those things. So I'm going to leave the first portion of the reading here. If you feel like you would like some more support around what might be blocking you, releasing those blocks, knowing exactly what steps you need to take to develop your gifts, and receiving an activation, a ritual, and an incantation, then check out the extended portion of the reading. I'll leave the link below. Otherwise, if I'm leaving you here, thank you so much for your support and for watching this video. Leave me a comment if it resonated. I would love to hear from you. Hit the like button. It really helps my channel to grow. And consider subscribing if you're not already part of the community. I would love to have you here. All the best on your journey, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love.